Sister.
Okay, I think we're live. Hi everyone, welcome to the 2017 Q It Up Prep for Q Palm Springs. I am Serena McKinney, EdTech Coordinator.
I'm Shani Brzezinski, EdTech TOSA.
Chris Lindahl, EdTech Director.
Jennifer Williams, EdTech TOSA.
And Wynn Ralston, EdTech TOSA.
Awesome. We're going to get started. If you'd like to follow along, there's also the corresponding notes that was sent out in the email, so feel free to go ahead and follow along from there. Shani will also be sharing at the end of this a link to her s'more flyer that has even more information broken up into what to do beforehand, what to do while I'm there, and some other features, right? So we're going to go ahead and jump right in since we've only got a half an hour, but we have a lot of information to share with you. And we'll start with prep for the conference. So what devices to bring, ways to take notes, how to pick your sessions, and some other tips. So we'll get started there. Anyone want to start?
Just want to say, we're going to keep going live, but it's not showing up on my screen. So it says it's broadcasting. I'll figure out more.
Hopefully it is.
So actually, why don't you guys keep going?
Says we're live.
And I will see what's happening with the broadcast.
So devices to bring. I usually, and you guys jump in with what you bring. I usually bring my laptop and I will also bring my iPad. I tend to enjoy taking notes more on my laptop, but it is a little more cumbersome. I also will always have my phone on me, obviously, as well, but it's nice if I want to just grab a quick QR code or something, and then I can work on that later. So definitely, since I mentioned the QR codes, have some sort of QR code reader installed on either your mobile device or your iPad beforehand so that you can quickly grab a snapshot. You don't want to be that person standing up in front of everyone else taking a picture of the QR code. So just a heads up.
Yes, definitely. I would recommend bringing your laptop, as Serena said, with a charger. Absolutely. Don't forget the charger, easy to do. But make sure that you have a backpack or some kind of bag that's really comfortable to carry, because you will be walking a lot and you'll be carrying your laptop, your charger, your notebook, bottle of water, all of your belongings. So you want to make sure that you're carrying it in something that is comfortable to carry, that you can have with you all day.
Definitely.
And be sure and bring some battery packs because the plugins are few and far between. So bring some extra battery packs along.
Or Target even sells like the little handheld ones. They're like $5 sometimes in the aisle, like when you go to check out, and you can charge those at a time and they'll give the charge that you need for your mobile device. They won't obviously charge something like your laptop. You'll be spending a little bit more for that if you want one of those device battery packs. And then for note-taking, I love OneNote. If you're a OneNote user, definitely that's something you can use just because you can organize it nicely, and it's also a district supported software, so it's something that you have access to, both the online version and the install. But we also have created a shared Google Doc, and I will attempt to screen share. Jennifer, do you want to talk us through the Google Doc while I get it open here?
Okay, so the Google Doc is set up by day, and it's a table with each session listed on the left side. So even if you're going and you don't want to take notes, drop your name in the attendee part down the center of it, and that way if someone's looking for you, they can see that you've been there, or maybe they're trying to decide if they should go to one session or the other. And if they see 5 Irvine people there, then you can maybe decide to go see something else, because then you'll be able to catch more information if you divide and conquer. So
for example, in the map, which is really helpful. So this is the walking map. Since a lot of the sessions are broken up into local, within walking distance hotels around the conference area, there's a map there, but also I'll just attempt to jump in. Let's see. There we go. So here are the shared notes that Jennifer was talking about. So you'll see session information at the top, title of the information on the left, and then you can drop your name into the middle. Perfect. Yeah. And then any other notes. So since these are shared notes, you might jump into the 3D printing one, for example, you know, maybe 20 minutes into the session and see that people have already written things down. So you can go ahead and duplicate information or throw in whatever's helpful for you, and that'll be a nice place. And then we will actually post these on the EdTech website afterwards to give you everyone access. So next, let's talk about the venues. Let me get out of this. Stop. Okay, perfect. So venue-wise, there are multiple venues this year, and I'll kind of jump down as well and talk a little bit about shuttles, because shuttles are new this year between areas and locations. Mesquite and Smoke Tree are both in the main area. They are the smallest rooms. Primrose is giant. It always has room. And those are all between the Renaissance and the actual conference center itself. Map layout for the hotel and the conference center at the Renaissance on the notes page. So if you're looking at that, you'll be able to see it. And then also there are other venues now, Hard Rock. What am I forgetting? What's that? Oh yeah, and the Palm Springs Unified School District as well. So, and in the notes towards the bottom, the shuttle service actually gives you different routes. So there's a green, a blue, and a red route. And they run every 30 minutes, every 10 minutes, and every 15 minutes between those locations, as well as from any of the surrounding hotels. When taking the shuttle, I found them to be pretty good. Just know that if you are along the route, if you're towards the end, you're gonna have to sit and wait until they drop everyone else off before you get to where you need to go. But they also have, everything's within walking distance. Anyone want to talk about Twitter and shoes and all that?
If you touched on it earlier, but definitely plan your sessions and your backup sessions, keeping the venues in mind, because you don't want to be running from one place to another, or if the first session doesn't work out and your second session is now down the street, you are running to get to the next session to get a seat. So keep your venues in mind when you're selecting your sessions for the day.
Great. And since we're talking about scheduling, full sessions for each time slot. So if they start at 9 o'clock, I tend to pick 2 or 3 that I know I can go to, because either they'll fill up or I'll get to one and realize it's not really what I expected. And there's definitely the vote with your feet attitude. So feel free to stand up and walk out and go somewhere else. Don't worry, you won't offend anyone. You're there for your own learning, and this is for you. So make sure that you're spending your time wisely. Wayne, do you want to talk about Sketch a little bit?
So if you go on to Sketch, and there's a link on the Google Doc, you can actually kind of fill out. You in here?
Yeah,
Thanks.
I'm gonna attempt to do this again. Okay.
If you log in and actually create an account, you can kind of fill out what you're interested in and click on each event or each presentation. It's helpful if you select, I would say select at least 3, and then also be mindful of where they're located. So if you don't like it, you can at least get to another one that's in the same building. I would not schedule them or mark them up if you have to walk across the city trying to get to the next one. Then you kind of keep track of what's in there. It's got the presenters as well, which is helpful. If you've seen somebody you liked before, there's common names that presented at the Google Summit per se. I saw some on there. There's some returning from last year. That'd be a good idea to go and see them again. So they're kind of like the people that you know have good stuff and always usually have good stuff.
Notes sometimes present that as well, and that's exciting to see a follow-up in person.
And definitely on the right-hand side, use the key to help guide you. So these are all color-coded. So you can see the difference between a session, which is more like an ed camp style, and keynotes, the steampunk playground, and then the poster sessions, which are really just short little snippets. The workshops you have to sign up for ahead of time. and a lot of those have filled up. So I've had people email me, should I go to a workshop? And then they looked and it looks like it was already full. So some of those are free and some of them are do require a payment.
Q-tips.
Yeah, and the Q-tips are nice because that's usually just in front of either Primrose or Oasis in the main conference area, and they're kind of in the central location outside the vendor hall. People just stand up on a small stage, they give a little 10 to 15 minute spiel, and I've actually learned a lot, and you can just walk by and listen for a little bit and keep going. So they're pretty helpful. What do we have next? Let's talk about IUSD stuff that's going on. So we have our IUSD activities. The conference area tends to get really crowded. On Thursday, it's the first day. It seems everyone's somewhat running around trying to figure out what they're doing. And lunch is always a struggle. So what we've done in the past is done Shakey's Pizza. And this year it is there again. It's walking distance. So you're just going to walk out the back side of the conference hall. And you'll walk straight down that main street, I forget, Avenida Caballeros, and Shakey's will be across the street on the right. And you'll have your yellow wristbands. Would you guys like to talk about wristbands and t-shirts?
So, I don't think anyone's seeing it yet, but for.
I'm gonna do this, we're not live, but I think the way this is set up, it will still be a
It's
recorded
recording.
session.
Okay.
So we'll have to email everyone and let them know that
We'll
it's
figure-
a recorded session.
Wait. Hopefully you're right. So if you have paid for your t-shirt or your wristband, Jamie.
So your wristband and your t-shirts, if you have paid for them, will be in district mail tomorrow. We're packing them up now, and hopefully they'll get to you by Friday. If you have not paid for them, pay for them ASAP so we can get them out to you sooner.
We're live now.
PayPal
Oh,
or
we're live
send
now.
cash.
Yeah, we will not be able to really manage dropping off t-shirts and wristbands at the conference, just because we're obviously there to participate in sessions as well. So please be mindful that if you did buy a shirt or a wristband for lunch, that we need to get that to you before next Wednesday. So please submit your money, either district mail or PayPal, as soon as possible.
Keep in mind that the wristband is a paper wristband, so you have to take care of it, wear it maybe as you need to on that day. If you lose it, I'm not sure how many replacements we'll have, but
Yeah.
just keep in mind that it is there. If you paid for the lunch as well as a t-shirt, it'll be in the same envelope, so just take care when you're taking the t-shirt out that the little wristband doesn't go flying.
Perfect. If you got a t-shirt, Friday is going to be when we are all wearing them. And in the past we have done, we've worn them all to the keynote together. And then we have gathered just outside of the keynote, usually in front of Oasis 1 and 2 in the main conference area. And we will be taking a big group picture. So usually it's pretty quick after the keynote because everyone else wants to get to their sections immediately after. Let's get down. Okay, tips for going to sessions. What do you guys think?
Get there early. Definitely get there early and get set up. Get by a plug-in if you can.
I think also, and it's at the letter F actually, is a lot of the sessions that are at the other hotels, like the Hilton and the Hard Rock, IUSD or Palm Springs Unified School District, I've never had a lot of success at those sessions. They're usually, because they're further away, they're not drawing the larger crowds. Unfortunately, Jennifer crying because she's at one of those sites.
Yes.
Jennifer,
Except for Jennifer.
wait. Jennifer, where and when are you presenting?
2 o'clock
Oh.
on Friday.
That's probably the best out of the three. Hard Rock is a long walk. That's what they're going to rename it to, Long Walk. And then PSUSD, I've never even been to a session there. So I'm not saying there are going to be bad sessions. Just realize I had to go to a Hilton one once, and I got there and it was packed. So I walked all the way to the Hilton, got there and it was packed. And then when you're there, you start looking around for other sessions because you can't do that. And it would have been better for me to stay back. So it's a risk you take. Sometimes it pays out pretty good. Other times, just be prepared to walk a lot.
It sounds like there will be more shuttle service, so hopefully that speeds up the process, depending on how quick those actually are.
I actually had my best session last year at the Hard Rock, or the Hard Walk. But I would say if you are going to go to one of the venues that's further out, again, just make sure that you have some backup sessions in the same vicinity or nearby, so that if it is packed, or it's not your speed, then you can move somewhere more accessible.
And some of the sessions are repeated, so check to see if there are different times and different days that they're available, so you could, if you miss it once, you might be able to catch it again.
And no, it's really nice to split up. So if you're there with your, grade level group or 2 or 3 teachers from your school site and your administrator, it's nice maybe if 1 or 2 of you goes to one session and someone else goes to another session and you meet up afterwards and you're able to take those shared notes and then you can talk about it with one another. I know that's been helpful in the past, just to have shared resources so you're not all going to the same place at the same time, and you're able to get a little more out of it as well. So, and also just know that those sessions are labeled by level, so beginner, intermediate, advanced, and also by grade bands. So it'll tell you if it's a secondary or specific to high school or specific to elementary school or administrators or the whole gamut. So you can make a better decision doing that. We kind of talked about all that stuff.
Can I add just one more?
Yes.
And I know Stina mentioned it earlier as well, but for me, going last year, going from one session to another session, by the end of the day, I was on overload. So going to the steampunk playground or just kind of strolling through the vendor area when I was feeling overwhelmed was kind of refreshing, and maybe going to a more hands-on session was a nice way to break that up. But just kind of something to keep in mind that when you go to the same format of a session over and over again, you do end up leaving, your brain's going to explode in the best way.
So, Chris, since Shani mentioned vendors, do you want to talk about what the best way is to deal with vendors?
So the vendors are there. They're going to, I can't remember if Q does this because I've gone to a couple conferences. If they scan your badges, do they do that at Q?
Yeah.
So you're going to have your badge. That's the only way you can get into the vendor floor, is to have your badge around your neck. And then when you're in there, they're going to want to scan you. Just something to be aware with the vendors. They're really going for people like Serena and myself because of the sales piece of it. For you, they're trying to influence you to convince people like Serena and myself why their product is good. So you guys feel free to grab their swag, all the free stuff that they're putting out there. Serena and I have to be, Serena and I have to be careful about the purchases, especially as they get up there in price. For you, what we try to stay away from is if a vendor, for instance, 3 years ago, an IA came up to me who was able to go, and she was very excited that she convinced a vendor to give her a cart that was valued at like $1,500. And the vendor gave the cart under the, okay, now he's got it in with IUSD, and because of the cart that he gave to a person. So you have to be really careful about what's the reason why the vendor is giving you something free. So obviously those commitments, be careful and enjoy the vendor floor. It's very fun, but figure out why you're there walking the floor.
Okay. There is an orientation session at 5 p.m. on Wednesday for first timers. So it's very similar, I'm sure, to something like this, but you're getting a little more hands-on. You can ask questions and feel like you're in a room with other people who may also be going for the first time. But I would also recommend reaching out to any of us if you're feeling confused or anxious or you have questions, or definitely reach out to those at the school site. A good way, though, to get connected while you were out at the conference is really to develop your professional learning network through Twitter. So if you don't have a Twitter account from previously attending, definitely get one started before you go. And we have 3 hashtags you can follow: hashtag Q17, hashtag IUSD Q17, and hashtag UrbineUSD. Also on the notes page that was sent out in this email along with the Google Hangout, there are links to s'mores, how to get started on Twitter, and I already have Twitter, now what do I do with it? So you can also follow or search for hashtags to see what happened last year. to see maybe you're like, well, I went to some sessions last year, I don't really remember, maybe you tweeted out about them. And I always like to go to different sessions each year and challenge myself to learn something new. So using hashtag Q16 might be a good way to look back on last year and see what there was. Also, just talk to the person next to you, ask them questions. We're all in the same boat. We're all at the conference for the same purpose. So feel free to make a friend. Anything you guys want to add to Twitter?
If you want to make a lot of friends, bring a surge protector.
That's so true.
Yeah, like 6 plugins. That's how you make friends.
That's the thing, is powering up your devices before you go in there. You know, your phone, if it goes dead, your iPad. It's tough to find an outlet on the wall. Typically, if you do find an outlet, it's not going to be next to you where you can take notes. You're going to have to plug in your device and pay attention to the presentation. So that's.
And be okay with sitting on the floor. There were a lot of sessions where they get full and people kind of peek in and they see the chairs are full and then they avoid that room. Just go in and sit down on the floor. As long as you can see the presentation and you have enough of a view and you feel like you could be involved, then stay in there and sit on the floor. It's totally appropriate and okay to do that. Let's see, what else? And we also will link out to, on this notes page, we'll put all of our Twitter handles as well, so that if you would like to reach out to us or tag us in something and you want us to see that, then you have access to that as well. All right, I'm going to move this down. Let's talk about, does anyone want to talk about the affiliate meeting? I'm moving this.
So there is a meeting Friday for OCQ affiliate. Normally we have, in the past like 3 years, we've had people nominated from IUSD as outstanding educator for Q. So we've really, gone to support those people. I don't believe we have anything this year. It is a smaller meeting. Don't feel obliged to go to it. Usually they have lots of food.
It's Friday from 4 to 6 p.m.
Yeah, but it's Friday, so you're going to want to go out with your friends and the people that you've met up with. So it is something you can stick your head in and go to.
And it's St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, it is. We're green.
Yeah.
So yeah, affiliate meeting, I don't want to speak down to it, but it is something that you'll go to. You're not going to learn anything there. It's just.
It's a way to network with other districts because it's all of OC.
And they're Orange County districts.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's a nice way to meet other teachers that are obviously within the same, knowledge range as you. And that is across the street from the center at the Palm Springs Unified School District. It's a really quick walk. You just jaywalk right across the street. And they have food. Yeah. So that's good. Okay. Also, since you were talking about hanging out, Q karaoke usually exists in the hallways, and you can go usually before the sessions start and end. They'll just do a quick recording. They had a photo booth last year and posted the pictures. So there's lots of fun things to do outside of just the sessions itself. They really want to make it interactive and have you enjoy your time out there. Village Fest, they shut down the main street in downtown every Thursday night. So that's fun. From 6 to 10, you can walk around. It's like a street fair essentially with food and events and music and things like that. And then the Palm Springs Art Museum is open from 4 to 8 p.m. for free every night. So if you're out there and you're interested, go for it. Anything else to add to that?
I think sometimes the popular place where, if you're wondering where people might be, is the Village Pub.
Yeah.
Is one that people tend to go to. It's right there in the heart.
And you're going to find someone else from IUSD there.
Yeah, IUSD.
Like, you're going to wander in, you're going to see people you recognize or know. So.
Yeah.
Definitely make reservations for dinner ahead of time, because you have to imagine, how many people, they had 5,000 attendees last year. So Palm Springs it's flooded with people for this conference. So if you know that you have a group of people you want to go to dinner with, or even lunch on Friday, then make those arrangements ahead of time. And I know with things like Uber Eats or, things like that, DoorDash might make the lunch on Friday a little easier because they can just drop it off at the conference center. You may not even have to leave.
But we've never done that.
I've never done that yet. So try it, see what happens. I don't know. And then one of the last things I wanted to share out is really the after Q. So we spend all, 3 or 4 days out there learning, experiencing all of this, growing in our knowledge and our skills, and then what? So really the intention is that you would take this knowledge back to your school site and you would share it internally there with your other teachers and administrators. But also we have the ITAC, which is April 20th from 4 to 6 p.m. at Oak Creek Elementary. This is our district-wide
You said
mini Q.
The 20th, but this is the 21st. Which one is it?
Oh, it's the 20th.
Okay.
Thanks, I'll fix that.
20th.
20th. The Irvine Tech Advanced Conference. So it's a place for those that went to Q or those that are tech users in Irvine to really show what they've got and show what they've learned and share that with other people. And you have to think not everyone gets to go to Q. So we really are privileged to have access to all of this information, and it's really important that we go to share it. So I would encourage all of you that are attending Q to think about presenting at the ITAC. We, in the past, have grown bigger and bigger each year, so I would also hope that you would all be attending as well. And it's just a way to really support this district-wide. So anything else that you guys can think of? Last minute reminders, things that people might need? Shani, would you like me to, do you want to talk through this more and I can show it? Okay.
Top of the Google Doc, we used one of the s'mores that was sent out last year, and the EdTech Toasters and myself, we try to consolidate the information into just one s'more for you guys to refer to. So in here we've got it broken up into before you go, some things to keep in mind while you're there, and then afterwards. So as well as a map, and there's also a link in that information there that will take you out to the Q navigation site where it gives several maps of the different venues and how to get around. So that's a handy link to have.
There's the shuttles.
Yes.
Great.
Thank you, Jennifer. And then further down, cue it up before you do it up. You want to know before you go.
Wait, did I pass it? All right, here we go.
Ripping and rhyming. All right, so Jennifer also created, we've created some shared notes that we already referred to. Please, it would be awesome if you could add to your notes, whatever format you like to take your notes in, if you could just copy and paste them into that or take your notes directly into that. That would be an amazing resource for us to have, but then also for us to know who went to what sessions so that we can follow up, or someone's asking about a particular program and we can look through there and tap into you guys as resources.
And this is really about building capacity. So is the utmost intention of going to Q.
Right. And then there's a link to the Q sketch there as well. And then kind of some tips with that and using that. Something that I learned is just because you click on the session that you want to go to does not mean that you are saving yourself a seat in that session. So it will add to your own personal schedule.
Did you really think that? You thought it saved you a seat?
I've heard about someone that once did that, but it doesn't. So make sure that make sure that you have flexibility with things that you select. You can even select multiple. So if I haven't decided anything in my mind, I've selected 5, and I'm going to kind of make my choice.
Yeah, well, that's what I do. I usually do 2 to 3, so that when one doesn't work out, or if it turns out to be it's in a different location, I just know quickly I can jump to another one without having to have to look at the schedule again.
Right. And then, as we mentioned as well, with Twitter, it's a huge resource to have. So if you're not already on Twitter, can't recommend enough getting on there and following us. So we have our recommended hashtags.
Yeah, and I mean, in fact, a tweet to me would be, I would probably respond to that faster because I get a push alert on my phone than I would if you sent me an email to ask me what's going on at Q. I would probably be able to respond faster.
I think too, everyone is really intent to be on Twitter for that time because they're getting a lot of information, and if any sessions are canceled or exciting, then people will tweet out right away. So.
Right. So especially just kind of staying in touch, you can follow our Twitter handles that are there.
Is that a twiddle?
Yes. And we will be tweeting to let people know, what sessions have been good and so on and so forth. So moving on, just some tips of things to bring. We didn't want to make an exhaustive list, but just some things we've already covered. And then the events that we have coming up. There's a map there as well as the address and some information. Our shirt day, so make sure to wear your Q shirt on Friday. I know it's St. Patrick's Day, but there's some green in there.
Green pants.
Green pants and accessories. We also copied and pasted just the shuttle service image that was straight from the Q website. So just kind of a nice summary of information about that. And then a little bit of information about the sessions that are maybe more unique or not that traditional format. As Serena said, some of the Q Rockstar already booked, but feel free to follow up with that and see if there's anything that interests you that you can sign up for. And then at the bottom is after Q is over, we definitely want to continue the momentum. So ITAC, as Serena already mentioned, and then please know that we are here to support you after Q is long gone. Don't let that momentum and excitement kind of whittle away. Let us know if you want to try something new or different that you learned at Q and you're not really sure where to start. That's what we're here for. So just feel free to reach out to us and we would love to come out and support you.
Perfect. Any last minute?
Have fun.
Yes, looking forward to seeing you. All
All right, we're done. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you're able to watch this. We spent this time thinking it's not actually live.
It is, it's live.
It is. Okay.
It looks like it kicked in towards, you didn't catch the beginning. So when this is done, actually, this will be a YouTube video. So you'll be able to watch this video from the beginning and catch anything that we talked about at the beginning.
Okay. Thank you all so much. See you out in Palm Springs.